what my great thing is yet. What are we gonna do? Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast with your host, Hanna, Nuss. That's right, coming to you. Let's go ahead and ground ourselves in our greatness. Duh. And go. Okay. My great thing from yesterday was I always wanted to be one of those calendar people. Like, if there was any goal that I have, it was just to have this beautiful calendar and honestly to sketch and use colors and go there, right? And for the longest time, I was just like, well, yeah, but you got to be able to sit down. And as soon as I had time to sit down, I started this podcast. And so then that took all of that time. And so I was working ways into my dreams and also working away from them. And that seems like such a simplistic dream and such a silly one, right? Like, why would you just sketch on a calendar that's gonna go away? I don't know. I love the idea of it, right? And you know what? Everyone's dreams are just their dreams. So I had always wanted to do that, whimsically think of those things because, and I think it's this. When I was younger, I think I just grew up in a very crazy environment where we were running all the time. And so I constantly wanted to be able to help and to lessen the stress of that, which makes total sense with where I'm at in my life right now. Just saying that out loud. So I always wanted to help. And so I constantly had schedules. I've talked about this before, but for a little while of time, and I don't know how long it lasted, I wore the same exact outfits in rotation because I was a minimalist before it was cool. Right? I had 7 outfits that I wore. Sunday, I can remember it. It was this beautiful orange skirt. Duh. And it had probably down my left thigh, it had a silver zipper with a butterfly toggle. And I don't think it actually zipped, but it was a beautiful skirt. And then I had this matching mock turtleneck, which, oh my gosh, Hanna, wow, you were a fashion icon. I'm just saying. No, I wasn't. But I had this orange t-shirt that had a mock turtleneck, and it also had a silver zipper, which I would most certainly zip all the way up, and it had this circular silver toggle. And that would be my Sunday outfit. Every Sunday I would wear that outfit. Dressy, but still sporty. Could go to church, but could also play football after church because it's a skirt. I mean, is there a better, more active, prone dress-up item? No, there just isn't. You can't convince me. So anyways, that was my initial schedule of okay, we're going to calm everything down. Let's just get control of these clothes. And from there, I remember the sheet that I even had all my outfits written out on. I colored them. It was a very Clueless inspired. I don't have a computer, but I dang well have a pair of crayons and a white sheet of paper. And so I built my Clueless instance 1990s dream closet. And that would lead into, in school, the moment I got my planner, I would sketch and draw and plan and write out all the things, even though I really had no schedule at all to write out, but like having it all written somewhere, owning every piece of where my life was going to go, like that was beautiful to me. But the beautiful part wasn't the planning as much as it was just the graphical representation of my life. I loved writing my story in a way that also helped me plan and prepare and keep my life in control and in balance. And so as I aged, this was something that I would continue to lose, because time, because kids, because life, because commitments, because we don't just do things for the pure sake of just doing them anymore, right? Like, I can't make money off of this. Why would I do it? And so yesterday, I was sitting here and I was working and I kept looking up at my calendar that's on my wall and I'm like, oh, I don't even know what day it is. It's almost October. Like, I have to get this schedule down to keep everything kind of visually represented in front of me so I can just quick glance up there. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to take time to do this. And in that time, I'm like, oh my gosh, let's sketch a little bit. Let's enjoy this time. And it's nothing special. But it's so near and dear to my heart because I was sketching. I initially thought, I'll make some pumpkins. And I made some pumpkins and they kind of look like apples. And so I was going to just leave them as such, like, okay, they're just really weird looking apples. And then I ended up going down and grabbing some of the colored chalk markers that I had just to do some highlights to create a little bit of dimension. And it ended up being a two-sided. One side was yellow, which, I don't know why I have to explain the fact that I would have a yellow one. One side was yellow and the other side was orange. So then I'm like, so then I draw better pumpkins. And then I'm like, maybe I can rescue these apple pumpkins. And then I go to erase something and I realize that there's so much beauty in the smudge, right? Like, whoa, this is a new level. And then just like the creative flow of where you go. And like, I'm not an artist, I'm not a sketch person, but like allowing myself to just flow into that space freely. Then I end up like creating this beautiful little October masterpiece on my chalk calendar. And it like just looking at it, fine. It's fine, right? But like, I just did it and really just enjoyed the doing, the process of just doing something for the sake of doing it and just enjoying it and writing it down and seeing where my life is and all the things that I am blessed to be able to be doing right now. So that's my great thing. Like, I sketched and I did my calendar and it just felt amazing. It did. So take time today for yourself. Talk about something great that you're doing, right? So then it's not so uncomfortable when you are called on to speak to your greatness, because you will be. Duh. You listen to this podcast, I'll just go ahead and assume you're 7 steps ahead of everyone in life. Okay. Maybe you don't feel that, but you are. Not many people will put this much intention behind improving their lives. Hopefully that's what this podcast does for you. Not many people will put this much intention behind self-work and really take the time to get to know themselves and to continue challenging themselves. So if you feel great about nothing else today, let it be that. Okay, but sis, if you don't feel great about the things you're doing, we may need to change the things you're doing or the way that you are looking at them. Okay. So yesterday, my bonus episode was with Kendra, and she created the U conferences, and I'm speaking at those next week, and I'm super excited because I'll be speaking on the importance of storytelling and selling, and it almost should be serving and selling, but I wanted it to be storytelling because I believe that that's your most impactful way of marketing anything, because people just want to know, like, what they're getting to take part in, who they're dealing with, who's creating this business, and that backstory can really be the thing to launch you forward. So that's what I'm speaking on next week. If you haven't grabbed a ticket for that, they're only $40 and you can join from anywhere. And from what I experienced with that group, and I spoke to it a little bit yesterday, the group is pretty magnetic and just super authentic and supportive. And I've only met them once and been a part of their group once, and it was virtual, and I could feel that energy. So sign up for that. It's about to be amazing. And I think if you didn't hear the episode yesterday, you can hear the authenticity and the truth coming from the woman who started that conference and really her why behind her want to start that conference. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing. It is. It just really is. So check out that episode, but then go buy yourself a ticket to that conference. There aren't a whole lot of conferences still going on that give you a chance to network with like-minded women and find a community that's going to champion you, support you, and just love you, the person that you show up as that day, and continue to grow with you and push you to grow. So check that out. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's it. But yesterday we hit on this really important topic, and I want to hit on it again. Intention. And so a lot of people, and by a lot, I mean two people, okay, we're still building here. This is not me sitting here and going, hey, look, Ma, I made it. Although someday I hope to be able to sing that song in pure and authenticness, which, will you ever just make it? I don't know. Still here to figure that out. So someone asked me recently, like, oh, so you podcast professionally, that's what you do. That is very much what I do and what I have committed my career to. This is what I will say. That decision, that was a very intentional decision. It was an intentional decision to leave my normal structured 9 to 5. Now, I intentionally put myself out there to do this work so that I could freely flow, because the structure of a 9 to 5 really took away from me being able to commit most of my creative juices and my mind to doing this work, to truly following this path. And so at some point that had to end. And my intention from there forward was to be able to focus and grow this thing. Now, that was a lot of hard conversations with my significant other. That was a lot of hard conversations with myself and the realities that I have set forward. Like, Hannah, if you're going to do this, you probably have to shop a lot less. You're definitely going to have to cut, right? That's the reality, because I wasn't like stepping into this perfectly built business. And what I can say for anyone who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur or a writer or go down this path is like, you're never going to step into it and it's just going to be set up. Like, there is going to be some discomfort. So start structuring your life around that. Now, we were very blessed in the fact that 6 years ago, we started going down this kind of debt-free journey, and that allowed for so much freedom. right? The freedom to make this decision, because we had sat down and we knew exactly where we were at in life, and we knew exactly where I was going to have to make up that gap. And so I set the intention that I would continue to work, but I would find things that fit the freedom that I needed to grow this, right? And so today, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I do every day. So I wake up, I podcast, and I do that before anyone wakes up in my house. So I'm still keeping with my 3 a.m. wake up call to do this work. Now, I am a morning person. I really just appreciate the silence and the simplicity of a morning without anyone else awake. So I just like that. Do not copy and paste this. I can't guarantee anything from waking up that early. It just makes sense for me. So I still wake up that early. I produce the podcast. The podcast comes with not just a podcast, right? We live stream to Facebook, this podcast recording. We also record to YouTube and upload there. Then we record a vlog, which is just like my daily thoughts of where I'm at and what I'm doing. So those things have to get uploaded. Then we create the graphical representation of what I spoke about today, which is just what I share on Instagram. Usually it's a little bitty baby quote for the day that came from here, or just something that's kind of on my mind that's related to what we talked about. So then we share that on Instagram, we share that on Facebook, we share that on LinkedIn. My creation pattern is all very live and active right within the moment. So I'll create just the whole pile of intention of creation around this one podcast. I'll create all of that probably within the hour that I do it. Now, I've been doing this for a year. I've been every day for a year, right? So the things that used to take me 3 hours to do now take me about an hour. And I'm still perfecting the process, and we're still perfecting what we do. So once we get done with production, then I move into like mom mode. I get everybody ready. We get off to school. We walk to school. We get to do all of that amazing stuff. Then I come home and I still want to create. I still want to connect. My schedule is very open to record podcasts. It's very open to do meetings. Now, that takes, right, a different kind of job to be able to do that, right? I can't go sit at a desk 9 to 5 and be like mentally strained there. So this is what I found, right? Because I'm just trusting. I put the intention out there, right? I want to be able to focus on growing this. I want to be able to work on websites or have coffees or or go and just write for the day. So I need something that I can pick up here and there and everywhere. So I found I am one of those super annoying, and I'm going to change that term because I don't find it annoying at all. I'm one of those people who calls and talks to you about your insurance needs. And that, you know what, for me, I think anybody would sit there and go, oh, I would never. But for me, it was like, here's the deal. I need to be able to grow this, but I still need to be able to bring in some sort of income in the meantime, right? Like we're pitching a book, we're going to start pitching the podcast, like I'm working on those things. So I had to have time to be able to really intentionally focus on those things. And so here's the discomfort point, right? But like I'm willing to sacrifice all of that because I know on the back end there will be something that ends up working out, right? And so that's what I went in with that intention. Like, no amount of money is too little. The real focus and plan that I need to have here is the freedom and the flexibility, because I can just log in whenever I want to. If like stuff got crazy and I had a ton of meetings and I had a lot of things that I got to do this week, then I can actually work the entire weekend. I could sit here and take calls and do that work. And there's no time structure. And so it really allows for me to balance the things that I need to be able to do to build this business, to build my brand. It allows me to be able to do that. And it all came from that intention that I needed freedom, not necessarily a ton of money. And like, here's the deal. I get told no at least 500 times a day. Yeah. Right? And like, sometimes they're not very friendly no's. But what a great way for me to hone my entrepreneur skills, right? Like, hey, guess what? You're going to be told no. And so I get to be told no all day long. That's a big deal. But I essentially equate this work, this customer service work, to like, I'm an actor or actress in Hollywood and I'm waiting tables. Like, I'll do anything as long as it gives me the ability to stay focused on what I want to do. That really doesn't bother me, right? And that's the thing. At some point when you're creating, when you're building, there becomes this internal struggle where like not doing the thing feels like not being able to breathe. Like, you just get so hungry for it and you just want more. And so that was where I got with my business. Like, I want to be able to feed this, to grow this, and to put all of my love and energy into this. And anything that's taking away from that has to go. And that means we're going to have to be uncomfortable. And it took me time to even find that job, right? But eventually I found it. And I was just asking, like, what can I do? And eventually the universe, it just provided. And it found me this thing. And it's perfectly balanced with where I need to be right now. And it gives me so much freedom. And I started doing that probably 3 months ago, and I had said like, no, I'm just never going to talk about it. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's not. Like, it's not embarrassing. It's me saying I'm willing to do anything. I'm willing to bet anything on myself and the things that I want to do, the mark that I want to leave in this world. I will wait tables all day long if it means that I get to do this work. Right? And that kind of frees up when you're like really just trying to make money and you can feel how crazy you sound, like the instant that you say it. And I've done it before with like, I don't know that I ever signed up for whatever. But like, that moment where you're like either just trying to prove yourself or you're trying to make money, you're trying to move up, and you feel like you sound hungrier than you want to. And doing this gave me the ability to just focus on the creation at hand and let it play out the way that it was going to. And not that I'm like sitting here not doing anything. By the way, this will be our 309th episode. We produce 6 episodes a week. Like, we're not just sleeping on the job, okay? But it really allows me to just let it play out, right? And not be out there like with my hands. Like, it just allows me to serve and love people. And that's what I want to be here to do. And so that's the intention that I set. Free up my time, free up my mental space so that I can focus on this work. But I still need to be able to make money, but it's not about money. And it's also not about, right, my ego. Like, I don't care. There really isn't a job that you could throw at me right now that I'd be like, as long as it gives me those things. That's the intention that I set forth. I need freedom to grow this. So any job that fits that bill, right? Any job that I can pick up here and there, that I can just log in, log out, that I could pick up and do a cup of coffee right in that moment, like, that's the kind of job that I need. And eventually, yes, I plan on figuring out how to do this work full time and to make that, right, be the thing. But hey, guess what? Where I might be applying for like 50 speaking events today, speaking events aren't really happening all that often. So, right, that's not an option today. But that didn't mean that I couldn't take this risk and go do this. I just had to rethink how I could do it right now as the environment is drastically changing no matter where you're at. And the one thing that I can say is what Kendra said yesterday, setting your intention and staying focused on that. When this job came up, it was like, do I really want to be that girl? Like, but I knew that I needed freedom, right? And I needed flexibility, and I needed something that was still going to kind of hone in on skills that were going to be essential for me as I moved through entrepreneurship, right? But still brought home money and allowed me to sit and do this job and be able to still create and do things that related to building my brand. So I think a lot of times there actually are a lot of options out there for you to jump, right? Because for me, it was like we could be producing a whole heck of a lot more. And we could be more intentional with what we're putting out there. And, we could really own taking this step. And that could be such a big piece of this journey. And so that's where we're at. I'm still understanding how to do this and how to work in this world. And I was lucky enough to be able to find something that really fit my intention of this work perfectly, right? And it fit the bill for what I needed in this moment. And so there are a lot of things that are like that could do that for you, that will fit that place. But a lot of times we let our ego speak to that. And definitely, like, my ego a lot of times just sounds like whatever my husband's response is. Like, man, that's not really a lot of money per hour if you really break it down. But again, that intention will always save you, right? My intention for work wasn't that I was going to break free and make what I was making before. My intention for work was to make money and to find something that fit with this balance of building a brand, right? And so I just followed that. What works here? What works in this space for me and for what I need? And I'll say that comes with a lot of sacrifice, because you're essentially taking a salary down, right? And that seems really scary. And So that also means that you have to take away a lot of the material things that you might enjoy, but you'll also be doing things you actually enjoy. And that's huge. And that, for me, was the bigger focus. Do what I love every day. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the